Welcome to TATV's second annual live election results show. I'm your host, Justin Chenette. We are broadcasting live from the TATV studio. At 7:45 tonight, we will be broadcasting live from City Hall to bring you in-depth candidate interviews and live results as we get them. Just a reminder, polls close at 8 p.m., so if you haven't done so already, get out and vote. The freedom to vote is one of the most important freedoms we have as U.S. citizens. People in other countries around the world would literally die to be able to petition a government for a redress of grievances. I applaud all of you who, if were able to vote, voted. Every year there are less and less people voting in the election. If you complain about how government is run or want issues resolved, don't let others make those decisions. Do something about it. Vote. For those of you who have not yet voted, here are the locations for the polls by district. If you don't know what district you are in, look on your voter registration card. Here are the wards. Wards 1 and 2 are located at the Saco Middle School on North Street. Wards 3 and 4 are on Fairfield School at 75 Beach Street. Ward 5 is at the Saco Community Center on Franklin Street, and Ward 6 and 7 are at Burns School on Middle Street. If you'd like a sample ballot ahead of time, you can find it in the recent edition of the Courier. Let's take a look at the state bond referendums that were on the ballot. Question 1, the Citizen Initiative. Do you want to allow a Maine tribe to run a harness racing track with slot machines and high-stakes Beano games in Washington County? Question 2, bond issue. Do you favor a bond issue to stimulate economic development and job creation that would provide $5 million in loans and grant funds and would provide $50 million in research, development, and commercialization funds for targeted technology sectors rewarded after competitive process administered by the Maine Technology Institute, and will leverage at least $50 million in other funds? Question 3, bond issue. Do you favor a $43.5 million bond issue for interior and exterior building renovations, improvements, and additions to all campuses on the Maine Community College system, the Maine Maritime Academy, and the University of Maine system to replenish the school revolving renovation fund for school repairs and renovations, and to support capital improvements for cultural and educational assets such as museums, historical facilities, and libraries? Question 4, bond issue. Do you favor a $35.5 million bond issue to invest in land conservation, water access, wildlife habitat, outdoor recreation opportunities, including hunting and fishing, farmland and working waterfront, and invest in state parks, historic sites, and riverfront, community and farm infrastructure to be matched by at least $21.875 million in public and private contributions? Question 5, referendum. Do you favor extending term limits for legislators from 4 to 6 terms? To get insight to these questions, I'd like to welcome a history student here at Thornton Academy, Chris Beal. Thanks for coming on the program.
Hey, no problem.
Let's go through each state bond referendum, shall we? Let's start about question 1. What is your feeling about question 1?
Well, you know, there's really a lot to be said about this. Washington County isn't a very affluent place. They could really use the jobs, but at the same time, you know, do we really want a harness racing track and the things that come with that? I mean, there's a lot of potential, but there's no accountability to say that the money is going to come to the Maine state government. I mean, it could be dished out. They have, you know, Foxwoods in out of state. They could be sending their money there.
Right.
I mean, we could absolutely use the money. We could absolutely use the jobs, especially in Maine. We really could use that, but there's really no way of assuring. I mean, I think really this idea is too new. I mean, it'd be great to look into it more, but I don't think right now is a good time.
Great. Question 2, the bond issue. Do you favor a bond issue to stimulate economic development and job creation?
Well, I mean, I think you really have to raise an eyebrow when you're talking about big numbers like this. I
Right.
mean, it's really intimidating. I mean, where is all the money coming from? How are we getting it? I mean, the idea is really great. There's again, just like harness racing, there's a lot of great potential here. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I don't honestly, personally know enough about it. I mean, the intent is great. You know, we want to put this money towards great things. We want to help great funds. But, you know, where is the money? How are we accumulating this money? I mean, ultimately, the idea sounds really nice, though.
Right. We need fiscal responsibility as well as accountability for those funds.
Absolutely.
Let's go to question 3, the bond issue. Do you favor a bond issue for interior and interior building renovations, improvements, and additions to all campuses in the Maine community college system?
You know, honestly, I do. I really like this idea. Definitely, last time I was up at SMCC, I definitely thought, there were renovations that could be made, and we're really trying to keep as many young people in Maine as possible. I mean, everyone is just dishing out to other places, and it'd be really great if we could hold on to some of them, try to get some new blood going in the state.
Right.
I mean, this is the old person state right now. It'd be nice to change that, and I think trying to improve our Maine colleges is a wonderful idea.
Do you think they'll make them more competitive?
Definitely, absolutely, more competitive.
Okay, as you said before, you talked about fiscal responsibility, accountability for funds. This is going to cost $43.5 million. Do you think it's worth that cost?
I absolutely do believe it's worth that cost. I mean, it's the state of Maine. We're not necessarily on a balanced budget, but we need to pick and choose our battles, and I think this is a really good battle to pick and choose. I mean, we're losing a lot right now. And certainly we're gaining a lot too. But I think, as far as playing cards go, trying to invest in bringing young people into our state is a great way to go.
Okay. Question 4, the bond issue. Do you favor $35.5 million to invest in land conservation, water access, wildlife habitat, recreational opportunities?
I absolutely do. That's one of the great things about living in this state is we have a lot of natural resources. There's a lot of hunting, fishing. Wildlife is a very big thing in our state. We definitely need to push that. It's one of the I shouldn't say few, it's one of the great things that we have here. And we don't want to lose out on that too. And of course, holding on to any good thing nowadays requires some money. And yes, this is a big figure, but I think it's worth it.
Now, on that same front, more of a local issue, a local bond referendum, is the Eastern Trail Bond referendum, which would require Saco citizens to pay $500,000 with a matching $1.2 million from the state to build the Eastern Trail. And part of that is in Saco, from Thornton Academy to the Cinemagic, for instance, or Funtown. So would you agree with that as well, because you favored question 4 from the state referendum?
I really, honestly, I would like that. I mean, I think as far as outdoors goes, Saco is really lacking. I mean, we have our parks and stuff, but really we're becoming Funtown and Aquaboggan and Cinemagic, and it'd be really nice to have some great outdoorsy stuff to do in Saco.
Do you think that one of your reasons why you support that is the health benefits involved?
Absolutely. Maine and the U.S. in general has this horrible, epidemic of obesity,
right.
Which of course leads into all sorts of other problems,
right.
Heart problems, blood pressure, sleep apnea. And if we have more opportunities, that'd be great. I mean, kids are just sitting inside playing video games. They're missing out on these wonderful opportunities. And Maine, we have so much outdoors stuff to do.
Now, one of the things that was proposed by the Eastern Trail Alliance was the fact that students can bike from Thornton to Funtown. Do you think that would actually happen?
Well, I'm really skeptical.
Okay.
Because, I mean, a lot of the people, if you're going to consistently go to Funtown that often, you probably have a season's pass, and most of my friends didn't get season's passes last year. I mean, Funtown's pretty expensive. I mean, and, it'd be great to have an opportunity for pedestrians or, non-motor vehiclists to get to and from that area. I mean, Route 1 is pretty dangerous right now. I mean, I would never bike there.
Right.
I mean, it definitely would be a good idea, but I'm not going to go out and say people are going to bike to Funtown all the time.